film sucks. Indie film sucks. It's the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Yeah.
Coming at you from the mean streets of St. Louis, from a basement on South Broadway, the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Because indie film is a thrill ride to hell every time.
Nice. Yes, it is.
Way to bring it on.
Yes, it is, man.
Yes.
Being honest, that's what we're all about here.
As honest as we can be.
Well, tonight we're going to get honest. I'll tell you that. For
Glad to hear
sure.
it.
So we're venturing into something new called
Yeah.
reviews.
Yeah.
Okay.
Indie film sucks.
Indie Film Sucks
Review.
reviews. We
Yeah.
talked about this a little bit when we were announcing what we were the brand new Indie Film Sucks.
Yes, the return.
So this is our first chance at this to look at reviews, and we watched a couple movies.
We did.
Watched a movie called Absolution,
We did.
and we watched a movie called Evil Sublet.
Yes.
So we got a choice to make here, gentlemen. Which one you want to dive into first?
How about Absolution?
All right, roll the clip on Absolution.
Hey! Hey! Hey, who are you? You're the man of the hour. Everyone's out looking for you, you know.
And all they're gonna find are a few surprises I left for them.
You mind?
Where are they?
You know you don't win here, right? Even if you find some way to kill all of us, the cartel's gonna come here, find somebody to clean this up.
Where are they?
Absolution's a Vietnam veteran's quiet life is shattered when he confronts a ruthless street gang. Driven by a thirst for retribution, he embarks on a perilous journey, blurring the lines between justice and revenge, forcing him to confront his own dark past and the true cost of absolution.
Nice.
Yeah, I agree. That's intriguing right there.
Yeah.
Directed by James Dean, starring John Medford. Is that how I say that? Is that correct? And Mariana Garcia Montez, with performances by Harry Comer, had a big part in that, and a standout performance, I believe, by Brian Davis. Greg, would you kick us off with the review and give your thoughts to the fine folks out there?
Okay, so there is a subgenre of films which was popular in the 80s and up through the 90s, and that is old man takes revenge on street punks. So films like the Death Wish series or Gran Torino is very much in that genre, and you can see that director James Dean was paying homage to those films, in my opinion, anyways. Mm-hmm. And I think that he got more right than he got wrong. I think it's a pretty decent little action thriller. Some pretty decent action scenes and pretty decent story. I thought there were a couple of really standout performances from supporting actors. That being Brian Davis as, I guess, the son of the main character's best friend, and Harry Comer, who was the gang leader. And I thought the rest of the cast did a serviceable job. It was a pretty engaging, low-budget thriller film. Granted, it's not without flaws. I thought there were a couple of scenes that ran on too long. I thought some of the fight choreography could have been beefed up a little bit. From a technical standpoint, I noticed a lot of ADR but sometimes you can't really help that. And that's the thing when you're looking at low budget indie films, they're not made, and they generally can't be made with the exact same craft. Certainly as a Hollywood production,
Right.
and certainly not with the exact same craft as a higher budget indie. I think the budget for this was $30,000-ish, give or take. Mm-hmm. So for that kind of budget, I think they pulled off a pretty commendable little film.
Yeah, and Brian Davis played Sam, and Harry Comer played Two Pump.
Okay.
Were the name of the characters that they were playing. So, Brock, what's your initial thoughts, and then we'll kind of kick it around a little bit.
Sure. Actually, I agree with Greg almost 100% on his review. I watched this film just late last night. I thought it had a pretty decent pace, except for maybe a scene or two. And that's, man, when you in any movie, when you're watching a scene and you're going, man, I want this scene to end, it's too long. And there's a little bit of that in this, but not much. There wasn't a whole lot of fat in the film, to be honest. If you ask me, I thought the script was pretty decent, especially coming from his last film, Triple Xmas, which was a totally different type of film. That was a fast-paced movie. This one was more story, I guess more realistic, if you want to say that. It wasn't a slasher film at all. It was a good, like Greg has said, revenge film, which I wasn't even thinking about what you said. It is paying homage to those older movies. And he did do a good job with that. Now that I think about it, I didn't even think about that till you said something, so I appreciate you bringing that up. Acting was pretty good. I got to agree with Grega. I'd probably add another actor I thought did real well that I'd never seen before. He played the main villain.
Kurt Obachan, he played the crime boss.
That's right.
Yeah, Kurt also did a pretty standout job.
Yeah, I thought he did. I've never seen him act before. We had him on the show.
We did.
I was pretty impressed with his acting. The fight scenes, could have been a little bit tighter, but we know on indie film you don't have a lot of time maybe to rehearse on set. I don't know, but fight scenes are difficult to choreograph anyway, especially when you have one camera operator. I think that's all it was, one camera, from what I could tell. I thought that I'd recommend this to somebody to watch, especially if you. I didn't know it was a $30,000 film. I don't really look at it that way when I first started watching it.
As one website said that, so
Yeah.
we're kind of throwing it out there, but it sounds realistic.
Yeah. So I mean, but even if I didn't know the number, I thought it was a pretty good film, and I could see the growth in James Dean. I enjoyed the movie. I did.
Yeah, I mean, Greg, I would agree with what you said about the homage for the older type movies. Again, I didn't get that either until you said it. But looking back, you're right, and I think James Dean he accomplished exactly what he was setting out to do, to make a straightforward, no deviation from this is an old man who's got something to prove against these old people. And I like the hidden message behind the absolution. You never really find out not giving too much away here, but you never really find out what he's trying to make up for, right? There's a scene where he's in the cemetery, and he really takes on to the Joey character, which was played by Mariana Garcia. But you never really understand that. But there's some hatred there towards these people, and he's trying to do good, either making up for something that he's done in the past, but something happened in his life where that's triggered him, that he gets involved with this, right? An innocent fight where he beats up this kid turns into this whole mess, right? It gets the plot rolling. I thought Dean did a very good job of sticking to that, telling that story, and again, like you said, Brock, progressing through his career, taking on a new genre, which is tough to do, and driving something forward. We want this show to be about independent filmmakers reviewing independent films, and that's exactly what this was. So for $30,000+ budget, for something that drives, it was an entertaining movie that I thought met its purpose. It's got boobs, it's got blood, it's got shooting, it's got death, it's got all the things to watch something. Yes, could he have tightened some things up? Absolutely. But overall, I think he hit the mark for what he was trying to accomplish. Knowing probably what he had to go through, I would recommend this movie as well, as far as somebody that wants to sit down this movie is out for free, or it's not out yet, I believe when it does come out, I would recommend it to somebody just for an entertaining evening. You grab a Johnny Walker Red or a Johnny Walker Black, and it's a slow burn that sometimes moves fast and gets some energy. But if you just stick with the story, I think it's a good one.
Solid, low-budget action film. No frills, but none really needed. It hits the genre pretty much square on the head. And, I'd give it probably 3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I'm probably close to the same. Probably 3. Yeah, probably right at 3 because, who doesn't love an old guy kicking some young dude's ass, We're getting up there in age, man, so it kind of makes me feel like I got something to look forward to.
Yeah, and I agree. For what it was, and you have to go into it knowing that it is what it is, I'd give it 3 out of 5, and I would definitely pair this one with a Johnny Walker Black.
Johnny Walker Black.
Johnny Walker Black. So nice job, James. Nice job, cast and crew on a fun movie called Absolution, not yet out for release. So try to keep you informed on that one.
Yeah, good job, James.
All right, so we got 2 movies tonight. The second one is called Evil Sublet.
Evil Sublet.
Evil Sublet. So let's roll the clip on that one, and we'll talk about it.
Okay, Evil Sublet.
So it's a fully furnished 3-bedroom.
Doesn't get a lot of daylight.
Ooh, I think we just found our dream apartment.
Woo! And it's near 3 subway lines, has 2 full closets,
Get out.
an eat-in kitchen.
What's wrong with it?
It's an old building. The lights flicker sometimes, the hot water runs out too fast. Oh, and it's supposedly haunted. The last tenant went crazy, killed his wife and child, chopped up their bodies, buried them in the garden, and blew his brains out.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's a garden?
There is.
No, go back to the other thing.
Oh, I know. I was kind of freaked out about that myself at first. But yes, there is a 432 square foot eat-in kitchen with a gas stove.
No, the murders?
Oh, that. Yeah, well, he claimed it was an accident. He only cut up and hid the bodies because he panicked. Look, the listing did say this place is evil. But the leaseholder insisted I be upfront about how a lot of the previous tenants came to horrific ends.
A lot.
I like to say, don't focus on the rumors, focus on the rooms.
They're high ceilings.
High enough to hang your large artwork.
Or yourself.
Whatever floats your boat. Let's go see the kitchen.
Evil Sublet. A couple finds their dream apartment in New York City. Who cares if it's haunted if the rent is cheap? When a murderous ghost comes at them, they must enlist the help of some unusual friends. So that's the synopsis on IMDb, right? The horror comedy written and directed, edited, and shot by Alan Piper.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, I'll have to admit, this is, I haven't seen a lot of action horror movies, or action horror, I apologize. I haven't seen a lot of horror comedy movies. This is probably my second. So, I didn't know what I was in for. And I probably didn't give this movie the chance it deserved as it started out. So I went into it kind of not understanding what horror comedy's all about, right? The parodies, all those types of things. So I watched it. Then I went back and rewatched it.
Oh, did you?
A lot of parts of it after I read a little bit more synopsis on it. I read some reviews, and then I went back. But I'll let Mr. Grega start with that little caveat. Going forward, what's your opinion on this film, Grega?
Okay, I thought it started out pretty strong. I liked both the leads, and the opening scene kind of hit with a bang, and then it kind of fell off a little bit. I thought the pacing was kind of problematic with the film. I think there were 3 scenes total that probably could have been cut entirely because I don't think they added to the overall plot. That being said, I think it was shot very well from a technical standpoint, I thought it was a pretty enjoyable film. I liked the main cast. I liked the idea behind it, as in this is a haunted sublet, so it's not just an apartment, it's a sublet that it's an apartment that someone else owns.
That's right.
And I think the ghosts have to kill so many people before it's no longer haunted. I think that was the thing that was ultimately determined.
Yes.
And I liked the humor for the most part. Some of it fell a little flat. Some of the supporting cast was not as strong as the main cast. I thought Sally Struthers did a very good job and played against type, and that was a nice surprise. I liked how it all wrapped up, and I would say that it probably had more humor than horror, which I was okay with, but I was expecting a little bit more blood and gore than I got. But again, I thought it was an enjoyable film that was a tad long.
Jennifer Lee Houston was the lead female.
Yeah.
And Ben was her husband.
Yeah.
Who was played by Charlie Tucker. So.
Yeah. Well, you had to piggyback a little bit off of Greg. Again, I agree mostly with Greg on this. It does open with a bang. And I did not have any expectations of this film at all, except for to review it. So I knew, obviously, by the name of it, I knew it was going to be what I thought would be a horror film, right? I didn't realize it was going to be a horror comedy. So when it opens up with a big bang and you think, oh, wow, this could be interesting here. And then you have about 25 minutes of stuff I just wasn't interested in, to be honest with you. A lot of banter and some, one-liners, couple, not slapstick comedy, but just some funny one-liners. I'm not going to say they weren't, but I really wasn't ready for it. So that's actually probably my fault a little bit. So I was a little confused at the beginning, but like Greg said, there's some scenes that just didn't move the pace at all. It kind of took you out. The scene happens, then you're like, well, does this mean something later in the film? And it never comes to fruition. So yeah, there's about 3-ish scenes, I believe, that could be definitely cut out to keep the pace going. Also, I thought there'd be more gore as well. And honestly, I didn't get scared at all. There's some freakiness, a lot of freaky stuff in the film, which is kind of cool. I gotta say that. I think they may have used a little bit too much of the camera angles to create the atmosphere more than what was actually happening on screen.
Yeah, they used a lot of Dutch angles and a lot of weird camera shots.
Yeah, which, that doesn't bother me too much if there's a purpose for it. But it happens so often and nothing happened in the scene, you just got used to that Dutch angle and nothing, you didn't expect anything to happen because a lot of times it didn't. Sometimes it did, but a lot of times it didn't. So I really didn't get scared at all. The acting I thought was really good by the 2 lead actors. I thought that was a good casting job by the director. And I did like the idea of the story. It just, for me, it missed a little bit. I was hoping for some darkness, but, that's just me when it comes to horror. I like more horror than horror comedy. I do like comedies, too. Mm-hmm. I don't mind you mixing it up a little bit, either. Just sometimes the comedy takes over. And then it definitely, when you're kind of chuckling a little bit, you chuckle a little bit, but then you see some kind of freaky thing, and then it kind of is too much back and forth for me. Mm-hmm. So overall, it was a tough watch for me. But as far as what the director was trying to do, I bet he did exactly what he was trying to do. It just wasn't my kind of movie.
I agree. It wasn't my kind of movie either. That's why I had to go back and I had to do a ton of research and read up on it and understand it, because I'm like, there's no way I missed what some of these reviews are saying, right? And I try to educate myself on that. If you're into this genre, I think you're going to really enjoy this movie. Mm. I think it's gonna hit all marks there, from how Alan Piper put this together. I don't think anybody could have. I think you had to write, direct, and edit this yourself. and cinematography, all
That's a lot of work.
But all that had to come
Right,
through
Greg?
for this vision. I think the vision to work, and you could tell that it was a streamlined vision all the way through. That once I learned that and saw that he did this, I could say, okay, it was his vision the entire way through, all the way through editing, writing, directing. You could tell it was one voice through the entire thing. So I too started out, I'm like, oh, this thing seems interesting from the opening scene. Opening scene's actually pretty good. It starts off decent. I thought it was a found footage film, to tell you the truth.
At the very first,
when it first started off.
Yeah.
And it quickly turned, and I'm like, okay, I'm not getting the comedy out of this, but the comedy comes subtle. Right, I think the one line is they were in the kitchen and it's the wife and the husband talking to the realtor, and the husband's skeptical about it, and the wife's like, the realtor's like, oh, they buried the bodies in the garden from something that happened in that apartment.
And goes,
the wife,
there's a garden?
Yeah, the wife goes, oh, there's a garden? Okay. That went right by me the first time I saw
did
it.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but then when I went back and I started looking at some of the things, and I go, okay, this has got a lot more wit. And to me, it built throughout to the nonsensical part in when they're in the bar, her and her girlfriend are in the bar, and I won't give it away. But there's a karaoke scene in there that is so over the top.
Yeah, that was one of the best scenes.
Yeah,
I thought the Edgar Allan Poe musical.
Yeah, exactly, right. But everything was so subtle there, and this guy has such a New York vibe, right? This is a New York movie made for New Yorkers. I almost have a feeling for it because it was so New York, and I think if you understand the cost of New York apartments, those things, and I guess I did too much reading on this and understand it, and I know it was shot during COVID, so I would have liked to see what this movie was like outside of COVID. From what they had to switch to. So not a fan at first. Had to go back and do some more research on it. Not my cup of tea for movies, but I thought that they did a solid job. I thought the chemistry between the two lead actors, like you all said, was really good and held the movie together as they brought in some of these sub characters that I didn't think each minor supporting role was necessary. I thought they brought in Oliver, the neighbor, because they needed a kill, right? It's just like their friend, right? It's just like some of these people, it's just like, oh, we have a friend. There was another scene where I was just like, why was this scene in there, right? The fortune teller or whatever that scene was. So there were certain things that I thought that it was a little too long. They could have cut it down and it would have made a more compact movie. And if I was into horror comedies, I may have enjoyed it, but I believe somebody that's into horror comedies would really enjoy this movie. So kind of a different take than y'all, but I'm just trying to be fair on what I had to go out and do. If I had to review this straight like you did, Brock, without going back and doing a bunch of stuff, I probably would have had the same opinion as you.
There's a lot of good shots in this film. There really is. And a lot of good locations too, and the set dressing was pretty dang good. I mean, I was impressed with a lot of that stuff.
And I think that's the director's apartment. I think that's his real apartment.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I think it is. But if you look at the nuances of, her walking down the steps and all the stuff's flying out of her purse, and the main character behind walking slow. I mean, it's just like they hit on all those stereotypical, kind of things. But
and the character called some of that shit out too.
Right. Yeah. So. If you didn't get it at first, or you're into this, I think you'll get it right away because you know what you're getting into. If you don't get it at first, I recommend maybe going back and watching it a second time. But on the other side, I think it could have been a little bit more compact. I think it would have made for a better watch for maybe people like us that aren't as versed in those types of movies. I mean, I would give it 3, maybe 2.5 to 3. Pressing 3 on the star meter for me.
I'm going with 2 for me.
Well, sure. I think I enjoyed the film more than both of you guys. My only real issue was the pacing. I can't stress enough, there were some scenes that should have been cut because they did not advance the plot. Apart from that, I like the humor, I like the concept, I like the execution. So I would give it 3 stars.
Okay.
All right. 2, 2.5, and 3.
Right. And I'm definitely pairing this with a Brooklyn lager. So it's a New York film with a New York beer. So, you drink enough, maybe you kind of
Maybe give it 4 stars.
Maybe give it 4 stars. No, it's a 2.5 to 3 for me, but maybe it's just because I'm not into the genre.
That's basically what it is for me, most likely, too.
So,
And the scenes like Greg had touched on, when you're ready for the scene to be over, or this scene doesn't make sense after you finish watching the movie, you kind of go, man, that scene never led to anything.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, so Greg, you think when it hit good, like it hit a home run?
Yeah.
And then when it was off, it kind of drug you the wrong way?
When it hit well, and when it missed, I wouldn't say it missed big, but it missed enough to take me out of it.
Okay.
But I overall, I still liked it.
Yeah. Oh, and you did mention Sally Struthers a little bit in that movie, and I kept waiting for her to come in. And when she hit with some power.
She did.
I thought they cast her very well and very anti-type for her. So
Yes.
You gotta wait a little while to see her, but I would just I would. It's worth the wait. I think when she gets in there. So that was nice. Evil Sublet you can find on Fawsome, Tubi, Prime Video. Google it. You can probably find it some other places, but it's definitely out there. You can definitely see it for free. So I recommend checking that out, and we'll let you know when Absolution is available. We'll have James Dean in here sooner than later, and we'll ask him some questions about old Absolution. So.
Yeah, and if you don't like these reviews, you can send letters to Chris Grega.
Actually, what you can do is you can go to indiefilmsucks.com. That is our sister website to the podcast that has all these reviews up there, has the podcast up there. You can submit your film for review.
Yeah.
You can submit to be interviewed on the show, because that is our focus now. Indie film reviews, interviews, all that shit.
Yeah, and a little disclaimer about these reviews. I'm not a real reviewer. I'm just a dude who likes to watch movies, and I'll give you my opinion on them. But
No, we're 3 idiots. So
No, we're 3 idiots.
you're going to get what you get.
Independent filmmakers reviewing independent films, so we're trying to be as honest as possible when we see these things. But every movie we see is going to have some good aspects to it. I believe it.
Oh, for sure. And you know what? I'm excited about it, and I really hope people keep making movies.
God, I hope so. Because you know what else I hope?
What is that, Greg?
That we always talk about the what?
The highs,
The lows,
the in-betweens.
in-betweens of
True.
true independent filmmaking.
Yes.
On the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Like I just said, www.indiefilmsucks.com. Go to 88mmfilms.com to see some of our shitbag movies.
Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram.
Twitter, whatever the hell that is. You know, we're out there. Blah, blah, blah. See ya.
Peace.
Indie film sucks. Indie film sucks. It's the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Yeah.